Welcome, episode 11, Future of Beauty Unfiltered. I'm your host, Hannah Cook, Head of Growth. I almost forgot my name for a second then. Head of Growth and Innovation at the Pull Agency. And today we are joined by an amazing new guest, Wendy Slattery. Nice to meet you, Wendy. Thank you so much for coming. How are you?
I'm great. So excited to be here. Thanks.
Oh, I'm so excited. Well, we've been talking for a while, so I'm going to go, as I always do, and do a little shameless moment to talk about how we're here. So we're talking today about the Beauty Buddy, which is an app. So you are the founder of the Beauty Buddy app, which is leading the way for the tech-savvy future of the beauty industry, blazing a trail with her Beauty Buddy app and, disrupting actually a crowded beauty marketplace to provide customer feedback on a vast range of products, including skincare, hair care, makeup, perfume, and body care. It's kind of thought of actually as the equivalent of like Trustpilot for beauty, isn't it, so to speak? I think that's quite a nice way of looking at it. And it allows customers to offer honest product reviews on those beauty items that they've bought and used, allowing kind of a realistic survey of the market at a glance. Your obviously background is very diverse, and you've kind of shown strengths and successes in lots of areas. I remember when we were speaking, what I loved about it was you very quickly went, I'm not a practitioner, I'm a consumer. And I love actually kind of having it from that consumer angle. I think that's something I'm really keen to kind of explore a bit more today, because a lot of the time these products and things that are out there, they're not by consumers, they're by practitioners. So it's got a very different lens on it. Obviously, you graduated in both business management and digital communications, and it's given you a huge amount of background and practical basis on the tech and digital side to really get this app up and running. So there's a lot going on. You've created accelerator programs for ambitious tech entrepreneurs in Ireland. You've been mentored by tech startups that resulted obviously in the Beauty Buddy app coming to be. So there's just so much that you have done. Thank you so much for coming today. I'm genuinely really excited to talk about this. I think the one thing that's also really worth noting that I'm going to embarrass you on now is you're actually an award-winning entrepreneur, having won the AIB Women in Enterprise Award in 2019. So congratulations, taking the Irish market by storm right there. Now she's coming for the UK.
Yeah, absolutely.
So look, I want to jump straight in. Tell me a bit more about Beauty Buddy, right? What actually is it and how did it come to be?
Well, Beauty Buddy, it's myself and my sister, so she's my co-founder. What it came about really was us not knowing enough about beauty and kind of following that kind of influencer and trends market and end up with products that didn't work and half-empty products and just tired, I suppose, of not being able to find products for ourselves. So we had been looking at launching a company together in the digital space. So I suppose we had been looking at different technologies of like barcode scanning, that's on like other apps. So in the fitness industry. So we decided it was just one time in a store in, Ireland, and it was, will we buy this? Won't we buy this? And asked the sales assistant, and she said, I only work here on Saturdays. So we were
Just
like,
what you want to hear.
Oh, okay. And then, as you do, we Googled the product because it was expensive and we didn't, just didn't want to, it wasn't a product that you could bring home, try and not regret just throwing it out, which is not good. So we had that moment of, wow, what if you could scan the barcode of a product in a store or a home or search, and it just gives you ratings and reviews from other consumers that have used the product. Because when you Google a product, usually the brand comes up, the website, and the very rarely any negative reviews on a brand's website, which is, understandable. And same with a lot of retailers' websites, there's very few negative reviews because they can be taken down, on request of the brand. So we wanted a platform where negative reviews were treated as positively as positive reviews.
Can't be filtered.
No, can't be filtered unless they're malicious, obviously.
Yeah, of course.
Like, the only thing that we do ask is that the review has to be like helpful to the next person. So, like, if you really didn't like, you know, a skincare product, but you say all of a sudden, you just say it's about the smell. You don't like the smell of peppermint, but the product was great. That just helps people that don't like the smell of peppermint, right? And people who love the smell of peppermint will. So it's very much about not filtering the negative reviews.
And how does the app actually work? So obviously, you know, there's the consumer side and then there's also the brand side. So how does it work for both?
So we put the brand, so like, even if we're not, you know, talking to a brand or whatever, we put the products are put up by what people scan or search. So it's driven by the consumer, what products they're looking for. So the consumer goes on and they can sign up to the app and they can use it to scan or review products or read reviews. There's also like discount codes there given by the brands. So they can also become a sampler. So we work with brands. That's how we work with brands. So a brand can come to us and say, listen, we have this new product and it's working really well for acne in people aged 20 to 25. Do you have any people that say they have that skin concern? And we can send the product. So we can send then people the product to try out that should work for them. You know, so it's just really tailoring it to benefit our consumers on the app, as in the products that we will send will be something that should work for you, or they're saying that it should work for you. So you get to try it before you buy it as such.
Yeah.
So, and then for the brands, I suppose they get to actually connect with, you know, consumers, because I think there's a disconnect a lot with brands and the connection with the actual speaking to the end user of the products and getting their feedback from negative and positive. You know, feedback is really interesting to have. So the brands, we're able to go back to them with different data from a data set, say, you know, women over 30 with this, you know, skin condition don't use this type of product at all. But maybe they should, but they don't, according to our data. Do you know, that kind of way? So the brand can, you know, market better to the customer that the product actually works for, instead of marketing it to everybody. Because consumers are really clever. Like, and they're getting more and more clued into different, you know, obviously ingredients, and they have, you know, they understand the processes of moisturizer serums. A lot of people still don't, but they are more educated on that front. So consumers know that a brand, not every product a brand brings out is amazing. A lot of brands are built around one product that is amazing. And the rest are like filler for the brand, but they're not amazing. So people have, like, on average 36 brands in their house, in their makeup bags, in their bathrooms. If you count them all up, they've about 36 brands. They're never going to have all of one brand. And I suppose that is where kind of the honesty of the reviews and the feedback. So it's not saying a brand is no good. It's saying this product didn't work for me. I have oily skin and it does not work. So then if we see a trend that has everyone that has oily skin is saying this product is not working for them, then we will start recommending that, even though the product for dry skin people is like 5-star, for you it's only a 2 or a 1. So it's not saying the product's not any good. It's just like, you shouldn't be using it.
It's helping with that personalization, isn't it?
Yeah, and that's the thing. So we're just launching at the minute the recommendation piece, and the recommendation piece is like based on your reviews of products and based on your profile. So it will take people that have the same profile as me, and that we like the same products. And then all of a sudden, if that cohort of people that are like me, that like the same product, start raving about this other product, that's a product that we think you should know about.
Yeah, totally.
You know, rather than, you know, people who bought this, bought that. Because like, in fairness, a lot of times you don't buy it for yourself. You could be buying it for someone else. So it's like, well, you know, I don't wear men's skincare. But
it's clever as well, because like, so I really struggle with mascara. I've probably got panda eyes now. I really struggle with mascara. I always have. And so I'm constantly terrified to try new products. And my mum is the only one I know that has the same problem. So I'm always going to her going, what mascara are you using today? I haven't seen any panda eyes. What are you wearing? So I think you're right. It's finding people that are the same as you and having a conversation and going, what's your secret thing that you rave about and can't live without?
Yeah.
And then sharing that. It's actually really great. I think so. Why did you focus on beauty specifically? You know, it's a really crowded marketplace. There's lots, as you've kind of touched on, lots of inflated claims, right? There's technology that kind of doesn't really work. And I think, you know, you've kind of tried to transition it to the honest voice of the actual end customer. So why beauty?
Well, in fairness, the reason we chose beauty is because that was the problem we were trying to solve for ourselves, you know? It's something that I suppose we are conscious of. I don't know whether it's probably an age thing as well, where you're more, you know, you put more money into skincare and you're more conscious of your skin. So it was just, even though it's a crowded space, I think that was the reason we got into it, is because it was so crowded. It was overwhelming for us as a consumer to go into the Boots or the Superdrugs, or that you're just standing there going, I need a mascara, and there must be like 300 mascaras in this shop, and they're all saying that they all give you the best lashes in the world. Like,
they're all waterproof.
Yeah. So it's that moment of, oh God, help me. Like, you know, and it was just, you know, it's such a big market and there's so little voice of the consumer out there. So like what you were saying. So for example, what we're working with our database at the minute of consumers is sustainability. It's a big keyword. Brands throw it about all the time. But actually, it's like, what is sustainability to the consumer? So what does it actually mean to us that a brand is sustainable? So if you're like a brand and you're saying, my products are sustainable and they're labeled sustainable, and it could be that, you know, you switched from a plastic box to a cardboard box, but actually sourcing that paper is cutting down more trees, or like, what is the carbon footprint? Just because you have paper box now does not make you sustainable. And I suppose the consumer, I felt, was always trying to make the decision to be sustainable. And now it's to the stage where we're deciding what sustainability is. So on our app, so when we as a group of consumers decide sustainability means this to us, your brand needs to fit that to be marked as sustainable on our app. Not just because you say it yourself, because that's like correcting your own homework, right?
Yeah, and there's such a problem in the industry with greenwashing anyway. I mean, we did a piece of research, it's coming up to 2 years old now, so it's slightly kind of probably outdated. But one of the things that we found really interesting was consumers do care, but there's a limit on it and how accessible it is. The user experience is still really important. So there was that balance, and I've lost track of how many times I've been at an event we're talking about sustainability and the people go, hands up if you care about the planet and sustainability, and it's full of marketeers and the hands go up all around the room, and he goes, okay, hands down, hands up if you've bought something off Amazon in the last week, and all the hands go back up. And he's like, lies, you don't care. So there's definitely a balance between it, and I think that's the problem. It's just too much.
Yeah. And that's the thing. There's not enough information, and education, I suppose, is the next big thing for us, you know, on the app. Is like really explaining in layman terms what, like, the likes of retinol or these acids and serums.
I can't say half of them half the time. I'm like, what?
Yeah, like, and I suppose we're coming at it because we're the consumer, because we're coming going, asking those questions, right? Yeah. So we're turning around and saying, so, you know, we had a moment of like 2-3 years ago where we realized elf meant eyes, lips and face. Like we had that moment the app was like a year old and we were like, oh my God, that is what an F20 brush is. It's for your face. But like all of those are on brushes in stores and they just presume the consumer knows an E20 brush means it's for your eye, like, and they don't. And that's the thing, you know, it's like, that is just so helpful. Like, if you know the kind of way.
My mind was blown when I realized ASOS stood for as seen on screen. There's so many things that we just assume. I think because it becomes muscle memory for when you're talking about your brand, it's your baby.
Yes.
And you talk about it all day, every single day. So it's just in your body, in your muscle memory. And whenever you meet someone that doesn't understand it, you kind of are taken back and you go, what? Yeah. How do you not know what this means? Yeah. And you kind of go, welcome to the real world. 80% of people don't. And I think that's what's amazing about this app. So obviously, you know, you're using BeautyBuddy to allow brands to tap into trends, sentiments within the beauty industry. As you said, you're kind of giving them access to consumers that have the challenges. I like oily skin as an example.
Yeah.
What does that mean? And how do brands use it after that? So, you know, let's say, what would you say the most kind of interesting insights from 2022 were that are going to shape the category in the coming years? So obviously there's kind of the product trialing side, but then there's the insights, right? Because it's the voice of the masses.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think for us, we have we do market research, right? So what we do now is for the brand is they can once a month, they can ask, you know, 15 questions to our consumers to get instant like feedback on something, and they're not waiting months to figure out something or trends or, you know, so we're able to help brands, you know, figure out their questions quicker and get the answers faster. So for us, when we see a lot of the trends that are announced, you know, by big publications and stuff, we're kind of going, well, that's kind of not really the end user. So we would see, like, say, for example, makeup remover, right? Nobody is rating any makeup removers 5-star, right? So, do you know what I mean? So it's like there's a massive gap there for a brand to actually come out with a really good makeup remover.
Why do you think that is?
They're just not working. They're just not. They're just, I think the two things. The perception is that if you use a makeup remover, it should remove all your makeup first go. And that's the consumer's perception. But as a brand, you know, like, it's technically impossible. You need to probably wash your face twice, double cleanse. Yeah. But you're selling, you know, you're doing ads on telly where you rub half your face with this and all your makeup is gone, where the consumer is rubbing their face and they're left with panda eyes and their lipstick is smudged all over their face. Yeah. So I think there's that perception, you know, it doesn't say as part of, you know, like, it's like the shampoos are saying, well, use it with this conditioner. The makeup removers aren't saying, well, you need to then
do it twice.
Do it twice. Or
some of it is common sense, isn't it? Because I mean, I never used to. It's only because I work in the category that I know to do that, right? But I never used to clean my face twice. I do it once. Like, to be fair, I think when I was 17, I cleaned it with a wet wipe. So, but I think, you know, it is common sense when you think about it. Or first layer gets rid of the makeup, second layer cleans the skin.
100%.
But it's unrealistic to expect that an everyday consumer who doesn't live and breathe a category to think about that. It's a cleanser. It's meant to do the job. So I think some of it is around what's interesting, I think, with BeautyBuddy is, I think majority of brands have responsibility to educate now.
Oh, yeah.
And by using the insights that you're gaining from the community of people you've got, you're actually realizing and working out very quickly what people don't understand on the masses. And you should be using those insights towards your marketing strategies and how you communicate.
100%. And it's even some of the education, because on the app, the brand is able to put up videos, you know, about education, about a product.
Like how-tos and things.
How-tos, all that kind of information. The more information, the better, right? But actually, some of the questions, like, they're still not answering some of the questions that the consumer has. They're being very nearly high level, you know, about the different ingredients and stuff. But the consumer wants to just know, do I wash my face first? Do I cleanse my face first? Do I put it on last? Do I put it on first? When do I put on SPF? You know, is SPF in foundation good enough? Well, it's technically not, you know, but people now, the consumer thinks the foundation has SPF, so I don't need to put on SPF. So it's literally, you know, hyaluronic acid, you know, doesn't work well unless your face is wet. Who knew? Like, do you know, that kind of way? So obviously being not in the industry really helps us, you know, and starting to kind of come out with more hints and tips based on, okay, this is, you do not eat banana powder, you know, because there's so much going on out there with like, you
doesn't
know,
even
with
smell like banana. Lies.
With the gut, like, you know, and so people think banana powder is organic and it's made from bananas, and you're like, no, it's not.
Just yellow.
It's just yellow. So, but it's like, it's all those kind of what seem like, you know, silly things, but it's just education, like, and lack of, you know.
What do you think are the key? So I always find this fascinating. Based on your communities of people you've got, what are the key areas that people still don't understand? So like retinol for me is one. Yeah. It's kind of coming to the market. They're very much making it saying this is the hero night cream. Like this is the anti-aging thing.
Yeah.
Even I have retinol products and I kind of look and I'm like, I don't know when I should be using this, if I should be using it with other things. Like, you know, what are those kind of key products that people still don't understand that you're seeing?
Yeah, it's definitely on the ingredients, because brands are pushing and like there's new ingredients being, you know, released all the time. But some of these ingredients, you know, don't work unless they're at a certain percentage, right? Just because there's a tiny bit in the product, that doesn't mean you're getting the impact of it. So it's like that. You don't use like retinol morning and nighttime, you know, 7 days a week, you know, you'll destroy your skin, you know, nearly. It depends on what percentage is in it and how strong it is and different things like that. So,
and the age of your skin.
Yeah. And consumers are really trying to keep up with the skin. And so they're very kind of more led by, oh, this retinol is supposed to be good. So if you just have retinol, you know, the chances are your product's going to be picked up more. But then if it doesn't work, then you get a bad review and then it's never bought again. So
yeah,
it's not even just about the ingredient, it's about how often you use that ingredient,
how
much,
yeah,
the size, you know, like is it a size of a pea? Is it a size of, you know?
That's half the problem as well, is that, you know, they'll make a claim and say 90% of women clinical trials or whatever found this was the result from their skin. They are directed within an inch of their life on what order to put it on, the amount of pumps, like all the quantity, all of it.
And the other products to use with it.
Exactly,
not
because
just
it's
that
a cocktail,
product,
right? It's not, there isn't one magic thing. Otherwise someone would have found it by now. And I think it's those kind of things that consumers are screaming for. What I love about the kind of the Beauty Body app and kind of where you've come from is it's creating a new kind of influencer.
Yeah.
So you've released, I've got another question. There's so many coming in my head. I've got so many questions. So we were talking earlier, obviously you have released and done a big piece of research based on the kind of people that are using your app and the communities. And one of the statistics that you put together were 93% of consumers look to reviews before buying a product. And when I read that, I wasn't very aware of it, even as a consumer myself, as I was saying, and now I'm very aware are there pictures? Are there befores and afters? Even for like in fashion, have I got a picture of someone wearing it? Is their body type similar to mine? And it's finding ways outside of just the marketing information. And I think people underestimate the power of review.
Oh,
sometimes.
Absolutely. Like the power of reviews. And I think even brands underestimate the power of reviews, especially when the reviews kind of, are from a trusted source. So our thing as well is for brands is like the plan would be, to be on brands' websites, but so for the brand to identify that the reviews are from Powered by Beauty Buddy, right? So the brand would have no access to those reviews.
No filtering,
no filter to that. But actually, when we do our research, the consumers want to see a product that's like 4.6, 4.7. They actually are clicked on the most. 5-star products are very rarely kind of...
They're skeptical, aren't they?
They're completely skeptical because no product works for every single person. So you nearly need to see a negative review to believe the positive reviews. So I don't think, as well as that, it's like we had one product that was like launched in Ireland and, straight away people were like, it smells like fairy washing up liquid, right? And it was for your face. And like, the thing about that is the brand needs to know that, right? Straight away, because this product sells really well in the US, but they don't have fairy washing up liquid in the US. So it doesn't trigger a washing up liquid smell.
Yeah, I would not put that on my face.
So you would. So even though this, like the reviews are really good, from like the US side or whatever, it was like, oh no, I can't use that. So people weren't even willing to try it because it was expensive, but it smelled like washing up liquid. So it just felt like
the perceived value was just gone. Yeah.
Gone.
Is there a difference in the marketplaces? We obviously, before we started recording, we were talking about Ireland and how in Ireland the pharmacy still rules when it comes to kind of purchasing a lot of your beauty products. And we were mentioning the quarterly podcast where they said the same in France. It's all about the formulations from pharmacy. Here, it's not the case. What about in the States? What are the differences? Because I do think the UK market, it's a beast, but two, it's so different. And I think it's partially because the market's so crowded. People are constantly spoilt for choice, and also they're overwhelmed at a price point. I think influences a lot of the decision making sometimes, and just the amount of information. So what are the differences in the markets that you've noticed? Yeah,
so even a lot of the UK and Ireland data is pushed in together, but actually UK and Ireland are completely different shoppers, like that, as you said. I suppose you have obviously a huge amount more Boots and all that kind of, where we would have seen Boots as a pharmacy, but obviously it's very small over here on a pharmacy level. But in Ireland, we have obviously some Boots and Superdrugs, but they wouldn't be on your high street. They would only be in the main towns or shopping centres. So the pharmacies in Ireland are very much where you would go for your beauty products. The likes of Macaulay's, and we work with those. Like, they are very beauty, new trends, everything, influencer products, really good skincare, all different ranges. So you're talking about something for a £5 to something that's like maybe €100 in your pharmacy, So the US market is a bit, I would say, more like the UK, because they would have like CVS pharmacies, but they're really like Boots, as in
retailers.
They're like big, they're just really big retailers. There's the smaller pharmacies don't really exist as much in the US from a beauty perspective either. Like they would be like your local pharmacy would be pharmacy. Mm-hmm. Do you know, that kind of prescription,
more
medicinal, and because they have so many of those shops around, like they would have even their like JC Penney's. So the likes of JC Penney's, even though it does close and all that,
like Walmart, they have beauty counters. Yeah,
they have they're all driving now. Sephora has just Sephora and JCPenney's split recently. So, but I know JCPenney's has like 600 stores that are changing into beauty. So they're replacing Sephora with their own beauty halls. And it's a great opportunity for brands and stuff, but they would be still classed as not like
a retailer.
Like it's just, you know,
superstore.
Yeah, it's just a superstore. But you could have all different types of brands in there. But yeah, so the UK, I think, and the US are more on par than Ireland would be more on par with Europe from a pharmacy.
What about consumer side?
From the
the same?
No. Well, in France and even Germany, and I would have a lot more knowledge on skincare and a lot more spend on skin, but not only just on your face, it's body. You know, they would spend a lot on body cream as well. Less on the makeup or, you know, it's more the minimalism kind of look. A huge amount on skin. Ireland, I suppose it kind of follows trends. Like, so if it's a winged eyeliner going this way, you have that group that will follow that. And then if it's minimal skin, and so we are trend led, definitely more so in Ireland. I think in the UK, from a consumer point of view, they're definitely getting more spend on skin at a younger age. So the younger shopper in the UK is definitely more knowledgeable about their skin. And actually what we've seen as well is their gut. It's very much their, you know, the vitamins and, you know, understanding that it's not just if you have really bad, you know, acne or something like that. It could be to do, you know, you're eating like 10 bars of chocolate and 2 packs of crisps and no fruit and you're not drinking any water. So I think they are definitely much more educated on skin than we were. Well, like me and my sister wouldn't have had that when we were at the age they are. But I don't know whether that's just because of like social and...
I think that the information's more accessible as well. And also life, it's so different. Every time I say it, I think, gosh, I sound really old, but I'm not. I'm in mid-30s, early 30s. What am I talking about? But I think information is so much more accessible. Yeah. I mean, so my 18-year-old sister uses CeraVe now. There's lots of, Paula's Choice. Yeah. She'll use acid serums, constantly talking to me about, Hannah, I've bought this product. How do I use it? And I'm like, what did you buy that for? It's not the right fit. Yeah. You know, there'll be all these kind of things. I was quite like that as a kid, but I didn't have anyone to go to.
Yes.
And I think that's the difference. There's now... I think these younger generations are benefiting from kind of the millennial age where they are starting to kind of get their head around and have got their head around skincare more. Yeah,
but there's also, I think, a big risk for the younger generation for the skincare is that they're nearly overdoing their own skin. You know, they're literally going on, you know, whatever's next out, like retinol
next
for
TikTok trend.
You know, a TikTok or whatever, but actually their skin might not even need, you know, the serums or acids they're putting on their skin. Do you know, that kind of way? So there is, you know, they might have all the retinols and serums and, you know, they have this CeraVe and they have, you know, more expensive, but it's actually, they're not really looking at their skin. They're just going a lot on trends, but they are... definitely more conscious of skin.
Yeah, definitely. So Beauty Buddy, it also monitors sentiments towards brands. Yeah, I think this is a really interesting point because, you know, we do a lot of research here, and there's an expectation to a certain extent of, are they giving me the answer they think they should give, or the answer they really want to give, and we see a wide range of it. And I think that's the thing. It's a very British thing as well, I think, of, you know, we don't go for 10. Even if we think it's amazing, it's a 9. It's a 9, maybe an 8. Yeah. You know, and if it's a 6 is really bad. And I think it's the same for sentiments towards brands. We always try, I think majority of the time, to find some positive and kind of soften the negative feedback. Yeah. But you obviously monitor how people are feeling towards brands. Like, can we talk a bit more kind of about that, and also who's doing well? You know, what is it? What is it that's working well for consumers? What's making them happy?
Yeah. Well, in fairness, the sentiment is based on obviously reviews and different words, but there's a lot of teaching in that kind of algorithm of, you know, some words aren't negative depending on how it's said, you know, but on its own, it sounds like a negative word, but it's not. So we also kind of, we base it on, you know, the engagement of those brands, as in people searching or scanning or liking comments somebody else has said about a brand, or, you know, is scrolling on a brand, you know, looking for more information or whatever. So we find that the brands that we have, this like the likes of CeraVe has done so well, and I think it has done really well because it's a good product, right? So it's
very accessible.
It's very accessible, and it's repurchased, right? So you would have a lot of people that would have that brand. So we have obviously a want list. So you would have a lot of people that have added that next. So that's what they want next, and to, you know, to remind them of that. So, but I think it's kind of, there's no real frills around CeraVe. It's very kind of, this is what it does, and it does it. So that works really well. But what has actually come out for us on the skincare and stuff like that is actually the brands that are really being buzzed about really are mostly French skincare.
Really?
Yeah.
That's really interesting.
Like without us looking at the data, I would not have said that.
Really?
No, I really wouldn't have. But yeah, it's 5 of the French skincare brands are coming out as a brand on top. Now there is individual products, like there's like Soap and Glory, actually one of their products, everybody's, you know, 5-star in it, and it's a body, it's like a body
butter.
Body butter.
Oh, I love that. It smells so good.
So it's like,
don't eat it though, guys.
Yeah. So it's like, you know, that kind of randomly comes out, you know. So there's products that come out of
There's heroes.
There's hero products that are coming out of all different brands. But when it comes to an overall brand in skincare, definitely it's the French are definitely winning on. Is
there like a key theme as to why? As in, apart from it just works?
Yeah, do you know what? At the minute, well, I don't have any research done on that, but I get the, you know, the sense from why it's coming out is because it's added, it's repurchased, they have other products belong to the brand, you know, they don't seem to switch serums. So if they have like a La Roche-Posay or something like that, then it's not like it switches. Where if you see somebody that has a different serum, then a month later they could have another serum that they scanned or they have. So they're switching serums. Where the likes of like La Roche and a few other those brands, those consumers aren't switching that product.
Yeah.
So that's, for us, is a real, they're switching because they're not happy. It didn't work for them. But then we go back to the education, right? Because maybe they're only supposed to use it once a week. I've had products that said use twice a week, and then I'd forget to use it, and then I'd end up throwing it out months later because and then I'd be like, it didn't work. But actually, I didn't use it the way I was supposed to use it, or when I was supposed to use it. So it comes back to simplicity.
That's really interesting. I think, so you've mentioned a lot today around the bad reviews are just as good.
Yeah.
Why do you think people are scared of bad? It sounds like a really stupid question, I know, but based on what you see, why do you think people are so scared of the bad reviews? How can they be seen in a positive way?
Well, I think they're scared of bad reviews because they have no control. So it's a lack of control for the brand itself. It also if somebody puts up a really bad review, say, on a website about another product, like, so they can't control that, they can't take that down. It could be malicious, and maybe it's not being monitored like what we do at Beauty Buddy. So there is a lot where they can't answer that person back, or they can't find out why. Where on our app, the brand can literally message you going, I'm really sorry, or, you know, you've had this experience. Can you tell us what, you know? And we've had that with brands. Like, we've had like some events where we do meet the brand, and it's a Zoom call, and the brand comes on, and everyone that's on the call has had like got a free product from this brand to try. And they just want to know, you know, what their feedback is. And they had one girl, I remember, because it was at the very start of us doing this, and she just went, it was terrible. It broke my face out. I came out in a rash, and I was like, oh my God. Like, I even had a moment of, okay. But actually the brand was like, well, there's active ingredients in our product, in that product. And you should always, with any brand that has active ingredients, test your skin, you know, patch test your skin before using active ingredients. But she was saying, they have other products that don't have active ingredients that should work really well for her, and that they would send her those to try. And she was like, oh, great, thanks very much. But actually, everyone learned something there, if you know, that kind of way. But I think it's a lack of a brand being able to go back and say, what happened? How did that happen? You know, especially if it's just malicious and they've no access to that, where they're just saying, I hate it, it was rubbish. And
or like complaining about the delivery when there's a Royal Mail strike going on. You're like, that's not their fault.
Yes. So that's the thing about that. And as well as that, you have to remember, a lot of brands are trying to get into retailers. So, like, you know, they're trying to open the doors into different retailers, and they're, you know, they just don't want the retailer searching and then see all the negative reviews, right? So there is that. It's not about the brand not wanting to know what is wrong with their product, or, you know, what they could do better, or the packaging. Like, you know, there's different products that people are like, oh, it's great, but the pump on it is like really hard to use. So I can't use with one hand. So they have to hold a bottle, and, you know, and use the other. So they can't just pump it with one hand. So a brand needs to know those kind of things. But I do think it's a lack of control that the brand don't have access to make it better.
It's really interesting as well, because I think there's a lot, and just as there are a lot of brands that want to do this, there are also plenty that don't, right? You know, this isn't that everyone's trying to do the same thing, but I think you are trying to appeal to so many different skin types, age ranges. And, you know, we had Sarah on our podcast last week talking about nutrition, and she used this phrase that I have stolen, which is age and stage, because that's also a really big part of skincare. You know, if I look back at my skincare when I was in my teens, it was actually dry, and my, you know, having kids and changing my kind of exercise and nutrition and everything else, it's gone the other way. And it was only when I was talking to someone, I was thinking I was getting my eyebrows tattooed or something random, and I said, oh, I've got dry skin. And she went, you do not have dry skin. And I'm like, you know, and no one had said anything to me, and I'd still been using all these products with dry skin for years, and I struggled with it and I was like, what am I doing wrong? And it was only when I actually took that feedback on board and kind of tinkered with some that were more appropriate for combination skin that I actually saw a change. And I think that's the biggest part as well, is it's helping people get started on going on the right path. And sometimes, you know, we assume we're one thing, whereas I think talking to other people and seeing, oh, well, this person's talking about all these same symptoms that she has. And she's done this same thing. Maybe that's me. And then following and going down that thread and seeing what she uses and trying those instead. And it's all self-fulfilling, isn't it? It just feeds.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And it's like you could have different skin in January to April, you know, because maybe you start drinking more water, maybe, you know, so it is a lot of your skin obviously comes from your gut. So there's a huge switch. And then obviously the new kind of trend is obviously the menopause trend, which actually the feedback that we get is that women that are going through menopause do not want menopause wrote on the box, you know?
Of course.
Like, it's not menopause skin. It's like, you know, either oily, either dry, or either combination, or either, you know, dehydrated. There's no such thing as menopausal skin. Like, you know, you hit an age and it's menopausal, and then it's like bright pink packaging. They're like, who are they marketing to? You know, nobody wants to sit down at their dressing table and your pot of pink skin cream has like menopause skin.
Be really proud to show that off in your bathroom, wouldn't you? Check out my array of menopausal products stating exactly where I am in life.
So I think it is very much about, you know, being aware of your own skin and not just going, I'm dry skin, like you said, and then you're dry skin forever.
So we spoke a lot about skin, but obviously the app looks at skincare, hair care, makeup, perfume, and body care.
Yes.
Like what's going on outside of the skincare? I mean, skincare is dominating, right? Everyone's talking about it. I blame COVID. I think it's a good thing.
Yeah, I think it was a good thing, but no, like in fairness, the perfume side, fragrance, I never thought I would purchase a fragrance based on a review.
Really?
I always thought, I would have to smell the perfume in person before I would buy it. But some people can describe, it's just unbelievable, like how they
level description
like
of smells.
it's just like you should be writing books or something. I don't know, but their descriptions, and then you can. It's so weird because it's nearly like the perfume. It's not about the smell; it's about how it makes people feel, right? So, like, you know, some of the perfumes is like you feel like you could, you know, take on the world. Like,
I want that perfume. What was that?
So it's like, it's more like when I wear this, I feel like I could, you know, rule the world.
It's funny because I've always just thought about perfume. I was always taught with perfume that it has its kind of base smell, but you have your own smell as a human, right? You've got your own pheromones and all that. I said pheromones, saucy. You've got your own pheromones and everything else, and it kind of blends and creates, because I've used perfume and my sister's used it and it smells completely different.
Yeah.
And I'm like, why?
100%. And I think that it goes back to, we did a scent thing on Zoom with people that had got all these samples of one of the brands we were working with, and they were explaining, you know, the scent and where it came from, and then just like somebody going, oh God, no, I couldn't use that. But it's because the smell triggers a memory.
Yeah, like fairy liquid for your face. Yeah, totally.
Yeah. So I have that recently with, there's so much of that tobacco,
that woody smell.
That woody smell, and just reminds me of dirty ashtrays in a pub. Because a long time ago, I was a lounge girl and I just always hate that smell. Yeah. And it just triggers that for me so much. And I remember bringing home like a bath oil thing or a shower thing, and I used it, unfortunately, without smelling it, and then I nearly died trying to get it off me. I could not get the smell. I thought, oh my God, I doused myself in everything and I could still smell it. But then when I gave it to my sons to smell,
they loved it.
And one of the other girls who works with us, her daughter, like that age group 18 to 25, whatever, they all thought it was a really cool smell because they didn't have that trigger memory.
Yeah, they've lived in a day where you're not allowed to smoke inside. So for them, absolutely.
So yeah, fragrance.
What about the hair care category? So I think the hair care category for me is it hasn't changed as much as the skincare category, but I think people are looking for, they're using a lot more treatments. You know, Olaplex is obviously absolutely smashing the market, but I think there's K15, there's other brands kind of creeping in. Yeah. The more I speak to more people walking around and they call it a hair care day, you know, it's that slick back bun, but we know they've actually got treatment in their hair. Yeah. Like, so there's a lot, what's going on in that space?
So I suppose in that space, what we're seeing is people are realizing that your scalp is a continuation of your skin on your face.
Finally, we've got a trichology episode coming out in a couple of weeks. Check it out. Yeah, he's Mark. He's amazing.
Yeah. And I suppose that is, again, it's an education piece. Like you need to clean your scalp to have clean hair, like, you know, because the build up on your scalp and all that. So it is, again, education. I think the brands that are doing well, we see in the US, are the ones that are doing like the scalp, the treatment, but giving you the routine, you know, and then it's a subscription basis, right? So you never buy it again. It just kind of comes in, and then, you know, they say you can test it and stuff like that. But like anything, I think your hair changes as well, different parts of your hair, like, you know,
you get used to something.
Yeah, and it stops working nearly. Do you know, that kind of way? So I think the thing about hair care was, it was always seen as get the best value, kind of the bigger bottles for the better price. And now people are, you know, really starting to, I think the Aussie hair care range, definitely you see that really loved on the app.
Really?
But I think that was kind of the first step to being maybe more expensive for your hair, into the next step, which will be
your
actually
heads, your salon-based products. Yeah.
So, and I think that I don't think the salons do enough actually to sell what they have. Do you know, that kind of way? Because they're products that they have in the salons, the professional ones that actually, you know, could work really, really well for your hair. It's nearly like they're afraid to say it's £35 or something for the shampoo, because people are like, what? But
you use definitely half the amount, and therefore it lasts twice as long.
Yeah, so it's definitely getting to that where you see the higher end being tested, but it's nearly like dependent on how much money I have this month. So you can kind of see that somebody on the app would buy the more expensive, but might then scan or search the cheaper one, not cheaper, but, you know, less the following month or the month after. So it kind of is the first thing that's dropped from it. Like, obviously skincare isn't really dropped as much, like but the hair care, if you see people going really high end, then they still go back and forth. It's not, they don't stay.
That's really interesting.
At the higher.
So it's all about scalp at the moment.
Scalp is a bit, and it's nearly not about the shampoo, conditioner. And the big thing as well for that is, you see we wouldn't have a huge amount of men on the app, but you do from searching, like there's very little out there for the men from a shampoo, conditioners, unless they're like linked to a brand that is really good with deodorant, but might not be. Yeah. So when my son turned around to me one day and he was like, I need better shampoo, you know, or like he was like, my hair is just frizzy and stuff. So I was like, yeah, that's fine. So I went looking in the men's section, and I ended up going back to the women's and buying it in the women's, because I couldn't find anything that had any specific hair type on it even. It was just like shampoo.
Men,
Men, black bottle, men.
That's definitely a generational thing as well. I think those younger men, hopefully, I think they're going to actually start changing the market, because that's a demand that we're definitely seeing is, you know, men in the category, the old school, it's not to everybody, but typically shampoo, fine, that's it does its job.
Head and Shoulders gets a lot of reviews from men on the app.
I bet. Oh, sorry, I shouldn't say that. It really does. It's I think it's that it does it do the job, whereas I think people are starting to kind of explore more more concepts.
But definitely the guys in their 20s and stuff are using skincare, or, you know, they're more conscious of their skin, and they're not shy about it either. Do you know, that kind of way? Or they're taking, you know, the female. But the thing about what brands need to realize is, even though the men's, you know, category is growing and it is exploding, like kind of from a, you know, even from tinted moisturizers and different things like that, but it's still the women that are mostly buying it for the men, you know. So even though it's for the man, they still need to be targeting the females and explaining.
Oh yes, literally, I say this all the time. Like, spot on.
Like, I have no idea, like, why you're advertising it to my 18-year-old, because he's not going to pick it up. But if I saw something that would help his skin, like, I would pick it up for him. Do you know, that kind of way? So the buying power is still in the female's hands.
Yeah.
So launching a male product that's amazing and just advertising it to men is
not necessarily going to get the results. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
I could talk to you about this for hours. There are so many millions of things that we could talk about across different markets. But obviously you've done a piece of research and that's available to kind of access as well.
Yeah, so we have the skincare one out and we're launching cosmetic at the end, actually next week. The end of January. We have fragrance and we've all the different categories.
Amazing. Okay, well look, thank you so much for joining us today. It's actually been
so
really
good.
Great fun to talk, and you need to get me on one of those panels. I need to be sniffing some woody perfumes and trying some products over Zoom, because that sounds like great fun.
I will.
But thank you so much, guys, for listening today. Any questions, you want to get in touch, don't forget to check out Beauty Buddy as well. Please get in touch to us at podcast@thepullagency.com. Wendy, you have been a pleasure as always.
Thank you.
And we will speak to you guys soon. Take care.